Welcome back to Action 2 News at 10. The mild weather continues to take its toll on outdoor events which depend on the ice. And today the Otter Street Fisheree in Oshkosh was no exception. Organizers made the call to cancel the pond hockey tournament and the fishing contest, but some activities still took place. In a First Alert update, Jamal James shows us how everyone coped on the grounds near Menominee Park.
We started pond hockey and we couldn't do it this year because of the ice conditions.
On the shoreline of Lake Winnebago, there's nothing normal when it comes to this year's Otter Street Winter Fisheree, an event making major changes out of concerns for people's safety, with ice not nearly thick enough.
Is it always perfect? No, but most of the time it comes together. Even when we get a hectic, like, we had to change everything around in the last week. We don't have the fishing tournament, we don't have pond hockey. That's just what happens.
With the fishery being a major fundraiser for the club, every effort was made to hold at least a portion of the event, so the club can continue to provide services many fishermen depend on. Still, there's a lot of uncertainty in the weeks to come, since the winter thaw doesn't seem to be letting up.
We canceled our part of it, kind of the same as Battle on Bago did. We don't know what the ice conditions are going to be. Today, you can walk out there. Most places you could probably use a four-wheeler.
And once again, a strong message from everyone who's a part of the fishing club to be extra careful if you plan to go on the ice. Reporting from Oshkosh, Jamal James, Action 2 News.